DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Welcome everybody, and thank you very much for joining us on this Monday evening. And there's no football tonight. There's nothing.
Wow.
Except for us.
That's
so
cool.
By default, you joined us. Thank you. You took time out of your schedule. Look, we even got MJ to join us tonight.
It's because there was no football.
Because there was no football. Right.
Yeah, because he's busy into watching the football.
All that stuff.
The foosball.
Now, if y'all want to play it, I'll get out and play it. Played a lot of football growing up. I hate watching sports. When I watch them, it makes me want to play them. And then I look around all the people around me, and none of them are going to get off the couch and play. So
it's a sad, sad day when you watch football.
It's like, oh, come on, guys. Let's go out the backyard.
Oh, my. Well, we've got a great show for you, though, on National DJ Day. And so we are going to be talking about NAMM. Of course, if you somehow lived under a rock or just didn't catch it, last week started Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning, I guess, and went through yesterday afternoon, and was the product release for a lot of different manufacturers talking about new products. Some are prototypes, some are products that are in hand, ready to ship, and they were just waiting for the show, among other things. And this isn't just DJ realm, this is music realm, this is pretty much just about anything. It's North American Music Merchants.
National Association of Musical Merchants.
Yeah.
There we go. I knew there was something like that. But anyway, so it's everything to do with music. So a lot of different areas, plus lighting and those types of things as well. So we're going to talk about some of those topics that caught our eye, the ones that caught our eye with a, and some of the ones that caught our eye with a, and maybe a few in between. And who knows if we're going to agree, because we have not talked about our list at all.
We had to make a list.
Done. This is like the thing we do. We give them 5, and then we give them like 12 other bonus ones.
Okay.
You can borrow a few of mine, John. My list is too long.
So where should we start tonight? First, let's start on a positive note.
Well, actually, let's kind of set the stage a little bit for NAMM. Okay. There have been changes with NAMM. As Dan said, the National Association of Musical Merchants. Well, actually, he said something else, and MJ corrected him, so we'll just put that out there. This event used to be a place where merchants, i.e. dealers, the Ben Stows, the iDJ Nows, those types of people would come to this event to see about the new gear that would be coming out in 2020 in this case. They could go there and they could see it, touch it, feel it, ask questions, and then they could write orders for it. So it was really a place for the hands-on training, for lack of a better way to describe it. Over time, media was invited and such, so you'd have the magazines and such that were there, and they would be doing some articles that would be dropped throughout the year. The joke became not available, maybe March, maybe May, was the NAMM acronym for the media world. Times evolved. As social media came on, they started allowing more social media outlets to become media to go to it. Then a few years back, they actually opened it up so that anyone who would want to spend $100 could buy a pass to get into this. So the NAMM you see today is not the same NAMM we saw 5 years ago, and it is certainly not the same NAMM we saw 10 years ago. This is a completely different beast in how it's covered and what is released at the show. Specifically, lighting has moved much of their release items into November, or whenever LDI is. LDIs are November or October, depending upon. So it's still big, it's still cool, but it is different than it once was. So let's get into the gear side of it.
Dan, real quick with his timeline, you went to NAMM once. How many years ago was it?
5?
4 or 5, yeah.
So it was prior to the being open to the public.
Yes, I'm going to assume I got it because I won a trip.
Right.
One of the lighting companies hooked me up.
Okay.
Excellent. So let's talk about fun gear on the positive side.
Where do we want to start?
MJ, you start.
Okay, the first one I have up is one that came out. It's one of the earliest ones that came out. And keep in mind that for me, NAMM started way before NAMM started and kind of ended before NAMM started. Because all the videos I did, all the products I looked at all of them prior to the actual start day of NAMM. John and I were hitting each other back and forth all day going, is there something new yet? Nope, nothing new yet. Something new yet? And Akai is also, they're still owned by InMusic, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And they put out an MPC pad this past year, the MPC one, not this past year, but before NAMM. And it's got a few features that other ones didn't have. It's kind of neat. It's very portable. Incredible screen on it. And if you're into this kind of stuff in the music making, which a lot of NAMM is about music making, because it's, like I said, it's the musical side of things. So it's people who both create with a physical instrument like a guitar, piano, etc., and other ones that create in the studio with things like this. When Kai had come out with this, it kind of was kind of like a neat thing that people were looking for to fill some spots that were missing prior to that. And that was kind of neat that came out. I have not got hands on it yet, so I don't know.
It could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's solid. Everyone likes it a lot with what it can do. Like I said, again, a lot of NAMM is about music making, so it's stuff with Ableton and all the different stuff like that. That's where you would sit down at NAMM a lot and look at studio microphones, and studio headphones, and studio mixers, and that's why Pioneer put out the one which did I bring that one up?
The V10.
I did not bring that one up, so
Yeah.
I'll bring that one up and we'll talk about that later or now, whichever you want.
Yeah.
Now Pioneers, it's not a mixer that you would use between two turntables. There we go. It's a 6-channel mixer. It's ginormous. It's kind of set for, there's a lot of little things here. We're going to scroll down to the bottom. But there's a lot of things that this is designed for that you put it in a club in between a bunch of other equipment. So if someone walks in to DJ and they want turntables, there's going to be 2 turntables hooked up to this. If they want to use CDJs, there's going to be 2 CDJs hooked up to this. If they want to use something else, there's a chance that there's 2 other things hooked up to this in the club. And you're going to come in and you're going to drop whatever media source you have, whatever in that device, and then rotate over to this to do your mixing. And it's kind of like an all-in-one setup. And like I said, as it comes into this, it takes a little bit further than the guy who plays one sound on right side, one sound on left side, and mixer in the middle. These are for the next stage up in the studio stuff, like the Akai studio stuff. This is a little bit further. It's done in the big clubs where you, like I said, you'll walk in and there'll be like CDJ, turntable, and then something up here. And they're all routed through that mixer. So that's what that was for. They come out with that. It's monstrous. I don't see anybody who is any sort of mobile ever picking it up and using it, but it's there if you want it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cool piece, but
it's solid as can be. Everything you can imagine. Multiple mic channels, multiple headphone channels. So more than one person can be listening to the headphones and queuing. So I could be on the CDJ's queuing something up. You could be on the turntables queuing something up all at the same time.
Nice.
Two separate headphone hookups. And
nice.
everything.
Yeah, but it's for limited applications to a point.
Yeah,
I love the meme. Rachel shared it. If nothing else, I don't know where it came from necessarily. Where it was the Oprah Winfrey, you get a channel and you get a channel, and yeah,
it's about it with this.
Yeah,
and I think that the statement that there's things that were released that just had a very limited or narrow market, I think is probably the term or phrase from NAMM 2020, is that a lot of the things that were released just have a very narrow niche of potential audience or customers, which was, on one hand, it's surprising, but on the other hand, maybe we shouldn't be so surprised, because everyone's been to the party with so many different things now that they can't sell. They're not going to find anything that everybody wants. So now we try to hit these little markets, I guess. Okay, so what do we got? What are we up to next?
So I'll take the next one. This is the one that we talked about last week, and it was the one that caught a lot of eyes. And I'm talking about the Chevet gig bar move.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of people talking. I'm going to put this in the somewhat like this. There's some things that wasn't real wild about it. As MJ, I'm sure, is bringing up the picture as I talk, right?
Trying to here.
All right. Because you said you're going to take care of pictures tonight. So
that one wasn't sold to me yet. So
you know what we should do is, Dan, before we talk about something, we should put it in the chat so then it pops up for MJ to have a moment to pull it up.
Well, now you tell me.
Well, I just thought, all of a sudden that could be a great helping works thing. But anyway, continue on. Go ahead.
Okay.
The gig bar move. Most of us have seen it because it's been everywhere.
Yeah. So I like the. To be honest with you, it's kind of funny because when it comes to my events, I like the washes, and that's about it. I'm not big on all the extra effects, but I do feel like this has its place. You've got some moving heads, you've got 2 derby lights, you've got a laser, you've got a strobe, so you've got a lot of things that are happening, a lot of potential for some different options here. I put it in the so-so category. Mainly from the standpoint that, yeah, you got the wrong gig. Oh no,
that was the video. Yeah, they're showing.
There it is. There it comes. Okay. Only from the standpoint of, I really feel like they could have done something a little bit more with the movers. All the features that they've got, that's great, but they're 10-watt movers, which is basically what they have in their Intimidator duos. 10 watts to me doesn't do a whole lot. And I know like the optics are better than they were, and 10 watts really isn't what 10 watts used to be, but 20 watts is still going to be brighter than 10. So, something like that. I would just like to have seen them come out with a little bit more of a punch from those, if nothing else. That and I'll hammer on the fact that everything else that everybody's doing, it seems to be done with hex, especially when we're getting to uplights. And why do we still have these effect lights that still have RGB and then UV? Like, why are we seeing our effects lights have only 3 diodes in them? And whether it's that or whether it's others, and yet we've got our uplights which are hex. We can't, trying to get them to match becomes that much harder. So there we go.
Yeah, I think I would.
Point on it yet?
What's that?
What was that?
Let's see if they have price point on that. Hold on a second.
800 map.
800.
$7.99.
That's
all that it has. And I realize you put the more powerful movers, it would bring the price point up and that kind of thing. For all that it has, I feel like the price point is fair. I heard some people being critical of it. That it should only be this much or whatever. But I mean, you've got 4 different effects within one light capability, and if you're DMXing it, you've got a lot of possibilities for movement and patterns and decorations. You're not spotlighting people with it, but you have a lot of different capabilities within one light, and it comes to the quick setup. I mean, pure and simple, it's going to be speed. You hook it up, you hook your cables up, and you run it.
Yep. Yeah, I think with a pair of those for a wedding DJ and aiming the lights properly, it could be a functional thing. I do like the concept of their totem settings with those moving head fixtures to keep them going forward instead of coming back and doing, shining on me. Love that capability. I'm glad that the companies, not only Chauvet, others have had that in there, moving their intelligent lights. Is it worth the $600-700 for a lot of DJs? Maybe. It's 2 of them, your light show's done, and they could probably do a high school dance, aim the lasers towards the ceiling and get that look and do this, that. I just question how many DJs are going to buy that and then go through the work of setting up the DMX and controlling it via DMX. Because yes, you can do a lot of things with the remote, but to really utilize it as a lighting show, you should be doing that 35, I think it's 35 channels of DMX control is what you need to set up. So that would have been Dan in that one. I'm probably like a neutral thumb on that one instead of the thumbs up.
Okay.
Is where I would have been. on that. So, so my first one. What's that?
Are we voting on them?
Well, yeah, I think good. I kind of.
I'm giving it a thumbs up for the same thing we said about earlier, for the right market.
Yeah, and with the being said is that if the price point were good, when we come up to the February show, by the way, February Las Vegas, go out to DJNTV.com/show and join us. But let's face it, if Chauvet puts out a great price on it at the show, I'll probably buy 2 of them. And mainly because I'm going to send it with Michael. I do my things more floodlight, but Michael does teen dances, and he could have a variety of different looks. And he could put them in his bedroom, and he could sit there and DMX program those things all day long and get what he wants out of that. And then I don't have to send the bags of the intimidators and the bags of the LED pars, and he's got the trees to put all together. So if they do an aggressive pricing point in February, I'll probably buy 2 of them. So, okay, so moving on. MJ, I put the link for the next product in.
I clicked on it. It opened up the Z table.
Yep, that's what it is. The Z table.
That's new?
It's the Z table Junior.
Oh, okay.
So it is. If you guys saw the Z table from Pro X Direct, the Z table looked identical to this, except it was 40. I think it was roughly about a 4 foot by 2 foot unit. The problem with it was like 80 or 90 pounds. It was a heavy beast. So what they've done is they've come out with the Junior, the same height. So you're a 36-inch countertop height, but they've got it down so it's basically about a 3 foot by, I think, 22 inches, like 35 inches by 22-inch platform on the top, which our controllers will fit on that wonderfully. Then you've got your shelf on the bottom and such for that, and it weighs 51 pounds. So yes, about 30 pounds less. Makes a huge difference when a person's trying to get that thrown up into a vehicle or transport around. So just that little bit of a change. When we had a Z table here, but because it was so heavy, it was damaged in shipping. Even with it being damaged, it was really a cool thing. And Michael was like, I want it. Let's try to fix it. And it's like, unfortunately, because it hit the corner really hard off the UPS truck, the plywood had broken. And to break plywood, that's a pretty good hit. So the Z table, I think, is going to be getting into the size that can be transported. It can actually fit in the back seat of a car if you need to. Weight-wise, 50 pounds isn't a horrible weight. So I think Pro X with that particular one, I think that's going to be a big one because it can be shipped UPS easily instead of paying extra for the heavy weight. So I'm pretty excited. I think
Red Bull has had those for a long time, and they are monstrously big.
Yeah,
the full size ones.
The full size, yeah, they are big. They were cool. I mean, we were going to get a red one, but I think I'm going to be ordering the black on black, and I don't know what Michael is going to want. You know, he's got his own thoughts when it comes to things. So anyway, that was mine, and I definitely gave that one a thumbs up as one of the cool things that I saw from the show.
Yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up, being smaller. Yeah.
So I put while we're on the topic of furniture, I went ahead and MJ, I dropped that in. I've had yet to find anything other than Katie's video on it.
I didn't get in.
So what I'm talking about is Grundorf. I saw Katie did a posting by this. They have DJ Furniture, DJ Pod -001. What I think is kind of interesting is just seeing some more options that are accessible to us for buying. So it's, you know, we're not dealing with just the same old tables that, you know, we've been dealing with. And, you know, Joe Bunn's got his command center, and there's a couple other ones that are out there. But just the fact that a lot of these are becoming more and more available to people that are not going to fabricate their own, that are not going to hire the machine shop to build one, but you can reach out and you can get it. Yep.
Yeah, if you skip into it a little bit there, MJ, I don't know if you can or not. There it is. Yep.
Or yeah, I'm sorry, it wasn't Katie's video, it was John's video. Sorry about that, John.
No problem.
But yeah, so this is the piece, breaks down into 3 pieces. My concern might be, and I was trying to find it on their website, I didn't find it, is that Grundorf stuff. I've had a couple of their products, whether it be a facade or whether it be a table, and it's heavy.
Yeah.
Like Grundor stuff is notoriously heavy. So that would be my one concern potentially with this, but I like it. It's nice. It's convenient. And John, the one thing you mentioned was there was a rack rail in it.
Yep. There's a rack. There's the rails and such. So you can mount some things in there if you wanted to. You can see it right there on the side.
Is that the top?
It's in the bottom there. There's a black...
or that's, I mean, the bottom part, but in the top portion of the
yes,
bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, there's a rack rail in there if you wanted to keep things together that way and transport it. Otherwise, the shelves will slide out, or they're on rollers like a drawer.
Okay. So I like that idea. It's nice. It's clean. It's black or white, depending upon which color you opt for. That you want to get, but I just liked it because again, it's giving us other options, and the price point, if I remember correctly, map I think was like a grand.
Yeah, $9.99.
So again, bringing some of the price point down for some of this furniture sales as well. So I gave that a thumbs up just because I was happy to see a product like that in a decent price range for it.
And what I liked about that compared to what Joe Bunn has, from the front, they both look really cool. There's no question about it. It's just that Joe Bunn has your controller kind of dropped into it, and I don't run the same controller every weekend. Sometimes Michael's using the table, and he would use it. So he's got the 8,000. I've got the 7,000. Sometimes I use the 6,000. Sometimes I don't use anything at all. I just go, no, we can't. Wait, no. But anyway, so there's times where you're going to be switching things up. And so I saw the Joe Bunn one, and it's like, but wait, I don't like using the same controller all the time, because if I'm doing so that was my biggest downfall. So I when I saw the unit here from Grundorf, it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. I was excited about one that has a real tabletop that you can actually put things and work in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Can I give it a thumbs down?
Yeah, please.
Because because you set the stuff in there. I want the other half where it's up and everyone can see everything you do. I don't want it to hide anything I'm doing with my hands.
I get you.
Well, and therefore you would prefer the command center
Walmart table.
His old one. What was that?
A Walmart table.
A Walmart table. Even better.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got the next one here, John. If you want me to.
Yep, please. Let's go ahead with that. Go ahead with that one. That one was the this is from Gravity Stands right there, that little bar we're looking at, which goes on pretty much any tripod. And what's cool about that is you see those two little, right there, if you can stop it right there, MJ. That little gold piece you attach to your light, and then it pops out. It's a quick release or quick attachment thing. So the gold piece mounts in your light, and you can just bring it over, you put it in, and it snaps in. And there it is. So there's no wing nutty thing. You don't have the O-clamp and doing that thing. It's there. It's that. And you can adjust it. The spacing, you can see right there's the adjustment screw. So you can actually have two different fixtures up there, depending upon weight, and adjust them so that they will balance out and be a nice smooth unit there. And I thought, what a great idea for those of us who are wanting to have a couple of lights. And as Jimmy knows, I can't get enough tripods in my show. This would allow me to be able to have even more tripods with my moving head fixtures and getting rid of those ugly totems, with the glow and the scrims that, how can you see your wires when there's a scrim? I just don't know. People pay to see wires.
And it's a 40 watt, or not 40 watt, 40 pound, I think, per side, if I remember correctly from the video. Because that was another one that was on my list, because I thought it was cool. It looks rugged. It looks like it's firm. And the stand that they talked about came with it. I know you talked about the bar goes on pretty much any stand. The stand that they had that flat bottom base. So as opposed to the tripod look, you get that. Nice. You get almost like the less of a tripping hazard maybe with it, and yet have the ability to put it where you need. Now it'd be interesting to see how high you can go and create all those kind of things. But tell you this, I mean, you put a pair of JMAZ moving heads on top, and John, that takes care of your wires.
People pay to see the wires. If I can't have wires, why do I even DJ?
Putting people who make wires out of business, Dan.
Yeah, you naughty man, you wire hater.
Because you still need the wire to charge it. You just don't need it for the show.
Dan hates copper. Okay, MJ, what do you got? You need to throw one in here now.
right, so do I throw something? I'm just going to go in order. I'm not going to anything I like. I'm just going in order. This was one that caught a lot of people's attention. It is something that Denon came out with that kind of knew a little bit about, not a lot previously. For those of you who don't know, it is a standalone DJ system that is also battery powered. It has a lithium battery that can go up to 4 hours. So basically, you can walk up to a set of powered speakers or battery operated speakers, plug this into the battery operated speakers, and DJ through the battery operated speakers for up to 4 hours off of a thumb drive or an internal. They also have a SD card slot in there, so you can get a really large SD card and slide in there with your music and DJ from that with nothing else needed. No computer, no nothing. So you can walk up with that and DJ somewhere, whether it be a ceremony or a college party, and just start cracking stuff out without any electricity whatsoever. And that was kind of unique in itself. It is limited at what it can do. It has very small platters on it. It only has 4 pads. The pads do have multiple layers, so there are 3 different modes to the 4 pads. And you do have, 2 mics? 2 mics, correct?
Yep, 2 mics.
But just gain control, though, it looked like.
Just gain control on these.
That's an interesting part, is that the microphones are actually all controlled via the software. So you have EQ and DSP things. Some of those are inside there, which at first I didn't get that, but yes, they're.
You can do that through virtual too, but you have to do a little bit of mapping. So for those who use virtual and use a controller that is the mics are control high-low mids are hardwired on the controller. You can bypass that, go through your software and make it affect a little bit, but it's not as easy as it sounds. Just so you know that. But this was kind of neat. The only here again where we talk about earlier, we're talking about the little niches that these things go into. No one like me is going to take this out anywhere and DJ with it at a club or a bar or anything like that. Or at least I'm going to say they shouldn't. But for someone who's doing a wedding or a private party or something, there's 1,000 different places you could put this and work great. So that gives it one little niche, okay? Size-wise, a lot of people don't want to work on something that small. Other people do want to work on something that small. So then we've again got to another group of people. And then the final thing that I think kind of throws this in a lane by itself is the $1,000 price tag. So it's awesome. It can serve a lot of people's needs. I know people out there right now, they're going, yes, I need that for this such and such, or when I do my secondary, or if I have a ceremony, I can do this or that. But for a lot of other people, it's like, okay, what is it? I can do the same thing with a laptop, can I?
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to, like I said, back to that thing we're talking about, where we just specific things for specific people. That is definitely going to fit some people, 100%. Very unique, $1,000. Makes me think of that one song, Fine China, $1,000 plate. I guess you old guys don't know that song.
Yeah, no, I don't.
That was mine.
So, Dan, what are your thoughts on that one?
I got excited with the idea of the battery powered with regard to ceremonies. I wonder if this had come out a year ago, if I would have built the system I did. Jimmy in the group says, I can do that with an iPad. Yeah, I'm still I'm doing that with an iPad. I'm playing my ceremony music with an iPad, but I like a little bit more control. I like to be able to touch the plays. I'm not real wild about the touch screen on, hitting playback and fading side to side, all that kind of stuff. And to know that there would be some extra effects built into the mic, and I missed that when I was looking at it, John. So that's good point you brought up. I'm not completely sold. It's not something I'm going to rush out and put an order in, but I'm looking towards a lot more than what I was initially.
Here's an audience that you didn't think of. Imagine someone who travels and spins at festivals and different things, and everywhere they go, they spin on the Denon SC5000 or the new 6000 we'll be talking about shortly. But they can't afford those because those are really expensive. They can set up their sets, practice their sets on this, travel with it, pull their thumb drive out, go up to the show, pop that in and do that way. And then when they leave, they can come back, pop their thumb drive back in there, change their sets around, whatever they need to. That's part of what that audience was what this was designed for, was that audience too.
I think it almost is probably more of that audience than, we looked at it from a wedding DJ in that video I did. And the more I've been thinking about it, if that price point for that unit was $400 to $500, I think you'd have people like myself who are wedding DJs. We would load that sucker up with our music that we traditionally use at a ceremony, and that would just become part of that wedding system, the ceremony system Dan's talking about, because it's right there and everything's ready to go. At $1,000, Dan's thinking about it. At $400, Dan's buying it. Could it have maybe had a few less features and still, and made that? I don't know, where the price point, where that is and such. But at $1,000, I think it's going to be for the audience you just described more, MJ, than the audience of Dan and I as wedding DJs. Yeah, some will buy it. But when I saw the picture of somebody who's actually using it with their hands on the jog wheels and such, it's like, I know Jimmy's made this, every time we look at a controller, he's like, oh, that thing's so darn small. Look, I'll be hitting 4 buttons every time I touch something. This is one of those controllers, I'm afraid. So this would probably be, when you consider what it is, the price point and such, for the wedding world and the mobile DJ world, I think this one is a thumbs down. Is where I would go.
A thumbs up for the right audience, and the fact that it is something very unique and new.
It is unique, right, and it is new. That battery powered. Once I heard that it's like, God, you could think of the number of times that this would be absolutely fabulous.
John and I were on the phone the other day talking about ideas of where this could be.
Yeah,
and we mentioned about that. You could think about this. You could have 2 powered speakers with wireless connection, and somebody could grab a speaker, someone else could grab a speaker. You could be walking with this, and you could have a party on the go.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential. It's just that for that, what it is for the price point and different things. I don't think it's going to be a hot one for the market right now. So, but I like the concept. I'm excited to see what the next generation, or the next incarnation of these is going to be.
Parades.
We talked about parades. We talked about here in the city, they do bicycle group rides, like a Halloween costume group ride. And someone always has a pedal cab, the 3-wheeled one with the seats. And he'll set up on there with a battery powered speaker and have a battery hook up to his controller. But if he did this, that's all he would have to have is the battery powered speaker and this. And he could do the whole pedal ride that way. So parades, anything like that. Like I said, it's in its own thing. It's special. So. Okay, Dan.
Take that one out. John, you kind of turned me towards this one, the Yamaha, the Stage Pass 1K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I initially had, and I still haven't. I'm sure we're going to get to it at some point. The new ones from Evolves with 30Ms. But it was kind of funny. Like when I started looking at the Stage Pass, I kind of went, if I was going to buy something and I was going to try and get all the features that they both have, I might go for the Yamaha instead.
Okay, that was not set to mute.
Yeah, that was
wondering what else I was hearing stuff. So it's got a 12-inch sub. The only negative that I really saw on it, other than the fact it looks insanely tall, and maybe it's not, but just even not just there, like in the picture that you have, but in the videos that I was seeing where people were checking it out on the floor, it just looks really, really tall. All of the EQs, both in the app and on the back, are all one knob EQs.
I saw that. So, yeah, and they're unusual. I don't know if we can zoom in and actually see if there's a spot. But yeah, continue that. That was I looked at that too. That was interesting.
Yeah, and I'm just like, to me, I'm like, you have so much possibility, and if you're doing the one knob, for spacing and stuff like that on the unit, I get that. But if you're going to give me control within an app, why not take that up a notch? I don't know the mechanics, so maybe just engineering, that would mean you would have to have something internal that
there. Hold it right there, MJ. This is the part that was interesting, is that so you go from a roll off on the left, and the more you turn it to the right, the more it brings the bass, the highs and the bass up. So it's not a traditional rolling from low to high. It was an interesting how they've done it. So it's
preset curves.
It's a preset curve there, and you can adjust it. And then of course you go, and the other there are two buttons or knobs we're seeing there, and he's going from speech, which would then be a bump in the middle in that vocal range. Going to club is going to give you more of that same pump on the bottom end. So I would really love to hear how those affect it, because at first when I saw the single buttons, I thought, oh, that's the same thing. And he started looking at them. It's like, wait a second, those aren't just the traditional, more bass, more treble knob, which we've seen on like the Bose, those Bose S1 Pros. That's pretty much what those are. And it's like, well, that sucks on the channel that had it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That one would be one that a person would really need to listen to and see if it does anything more than and just be a frustrating thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more control out of it, a little bit more, even if that effect is an awesome effect, don't get me wrong. If I'm using the idea of, and again, looking for something that'd be cool with ceremonies, have the ability to just take, have a couple outs from my system and go, okay, this goes in here, boom, 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 couple connections, and my boxes, everything already sitting with it, sits behind it, and then I walk away, and now I'm controlling it from wherever I'm at, streaming to it, the whole 9 yards. I think it's awesome. I just feel like there needs to be more if I'm going to use it in that capacity.
Sure. Did you see what a price point was on that, Dan?
That I did not.
I didn't either on that. I wasn't, and it's been out for a little while, so I should have looked at it, but I didn't look at that too terribly much.
Hold on 1 second here. Sweetwater has it at opening, still opening, $11.99.
So it's right in the ballpark for the when we were just going through that video. The one thing I saw, and that again it made me chuckle, is that the two systems can be linked with the Yamaha linking, whatever it was they referred to it. It's an XLR out, and it's an XLR in. That's the Yamaha linking. That's wow! I've never heard of that happening before. Blow my mind.
The marketing people are awesome at that place.
It's like, I got this great idea. Let's do linking, and we're going to call it the official Yamaha linking, and it's going to be great. How are we going to do it? I don't know.
Get a sticker, put our logo below it.
Go get that Amazon basic cable, and let's put a Yamaha sticker on. Let's go.
That's it, for real.
Jimmy, the SPL on that's not all that high, because you were talking, 10 inch and a half drivers on the top. So it's a stage pass type system meant for that smaller PA, like a wedding ceremony. It's not going to be a great standalone. While it could probably do smaller weddings, it wouldn't. I would probably lean towards something else in that range. True, I don't think Bose was at NAMM this year. From what I've heard, last year they were there, but they had a smaller presence, and it was like the corner of a booth of someone's. So, and I wanted our people to check for that, and no one came back with anything. So, okay, MJ, can you grab that LD one next?
There it is, just popped up.
So this was actually kind of an interesting one, and I had seen a little information on it, but I kind of blew it off. I didn't look at it in depth the first time through, and then Brian did his video on it. We're talking about the Maui 44G, and this particular, looks like many of the others. What's cool about this? There's a variety of different things. First off, this has Bluetooth audio streaming, so I can go from my laptop to the first one. Then it has the TWS, which is true wireless streaming between the two speakers. So I can go and Bluetooth to the first one, and then it sends the signal to the second one wirelessly, so I have my stereo sound coming out via Bluetooth or wireless, and I don't have to run wires if I so choose. The second thing, if you look on the right of the picture that MJ is showing right now, this has the ability to add a second subwoofer that, again, matching, that goes with this, and having cardioid capability with this. So I can add an additional subwoofer to have more thump, and I believe these are 15-inch subs in this.
I think so, yeah.
I could have a dual 15 on each side, or I could have a single 15 or one forward and one backwards, set it for the cardioid capability, and then I'm having that noise, or that bass steering out towards the dance floor and not back by me. And then, of course, it has Bluetooth control, which is really a cool feature. So this was an interesting unit here that they came out with, and has some functionality that we haven't seen before in these little array systems. Not so much the wireless capability. There's Bluetooth technology in many of them, like Serwin Vega, back when they existed, they had Bluetooth where you could Bluetooth to the first one and then you could connect to the second one. I think Mackie has it, and JBL, a few others have it.
Did you know that is what those were originally designed for? Everyone points out the Bose and uses them for DJing. That this application, what you see right there, is what that stand-up speaker was designed for. To be put 4 of them on each corner of the stage, pointing in as a stage monitor, so there isn't stage monitors on the bottom.
Yeah,
that's what this whole system was. When you see when Bose put them out, this is what it was all designed for. And then someone said, "Hey, I can DJ with that because it's easy to set up."
Oh yeah, that was the L system, the original cylindrical system is what they called it back in the day. From Bose was the 4 of them would be back, and there's your sound system. So that was.
I will say there's one thing that has kind of ticked me off with these groups that are doing the cardioid. They work so hard to make their unit look nice and polished and everything else. And then they do the cardioid, which causes you to turn the ugliest side of this speaker towards the audience. Now, keep in mind, the back still looks really nice. The way they have that back, the back look and everything's behind that glass type of piece to it. I'm still connecting a stupid cable to it. Like I'm still going to have a cable that is going to be sticking out towards the audience if I run this in cardioid. I just wish they would come up with like a hidden port on the front side, or even on the side, that I could plug this into so that it's not showing that. You
want a USB-C port on there, don't you?
Well,
yeah. How awesome would that be?
Of course, but it's still a stupid cord that's going to be facing toward the audience. I want something. I want something to where if I'm going to run something in cardioid, I'm not facing that towards them. I have a pair of 18s and I've never run them in cardioid. I wanted to, but I did it one time. I set them up and I went, that looks ugly. Forget it. I'm not gonna. I don't care about the sound. It looks ugly.
We're gonna make it. You're such a radical, Dan.
I know. It happens.
Okay, MJ, what do you got next?
So there's this little company called Denon. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
No, you'll have to explain more.
I don't speak about them very often. And they released several products at NAMM, and there were 2 of them that were almost identical. And I did see a picture of these months prior to the release. Let me rephrase this. A half-covered picture of these months prior to the release. It's basically the next step up from the 5000s that they put out previously, and it was 3 years to the date since they released the 5000s. So these ones are the next step up with slightly bigger platters. We go from a 7 to an 8.5 inch, and we have a 10-inch screen. So basically, if you've seen the Prime 4, this is the same size screen that's on the Prime 4.
Okay.
This one is the 6000 that is not motorized, and this is the 6000 that is motorized. And basically, if you've ever owned any of the previous Denons that have motorized, like the 3900 and whatnot, this will seem similar to what you've previously used, but lighter and a whole lot more functionality. They are running at, if I'm correct, $1,400 for the motorized and $13 or $12 for the non-motorized each per side. I'm going to go ahead and, since we're short on time, I'm going to throw in the mixer that they come out with, also the 1850 mixer. Basically, it's the next step up. It's a little bit better than the X1800. So basically, if you would buy that system right there with not necessarily those, but the ones with the motorized, it would cost you almost $5,000 to have that set up right there. Again, what it's designed for. We talk about the corners, where it's supposed to fit. This is for the Change My Rider. So it's the people who go, I don't want CDJs anymore. I want this. So it is designed for that. It's not necessarily for a wedding guy who's going to go out and buy this. Club guy's not going to go out and buy this for himself, probably. Your average mixed DJ is not going to buy it for himself. But chances are that if you do any kind of places DJing at multiple places, traveling, you're going to hit the system somewhere. And that's what it's kind of designed for, to where you can come up, pop a single drive-in, a SD card, or as internal, and that's all you got to do is walk up, DJ, walk away. But cost you almost $5,000 for that setup there.
Jeez, that's a ton of money.
Bigger platter, like I said, this is where I'm getting excited to see the bigger platters. It's got an 8.5-inch motorized platter. And I always said that John and I were talking about this before, and I even made a comment that one of the Denon guys, Mark Back, noted, and I hope that you took my comment on this as something positive, not negative. But I first looked at the 6000M and said that would be awesome without the screen, because it would be like a smaller Rain 12. So instead of the Rain 12 being a 12, the Rain 12 would be an 8.5, a 10, or an 8, somewhere in there. And it'd be something that would be more portable for guys who like that. Get something about the size of the Numark mixer, scratch mixer that they put out last year. It's a little bit smaller, and those two, and someone could travel with that who likes to use the motorized platters and the setup, and it wouldn't be as heavy. And I know people would want that, because several years ago, Biz Markie had Rain make him two either 10-inch or 8. I think they were 10-inch turntables. So they were smaller Techniques turntables that he would travel with. And people were like, I would kill for that. I would absolutely kill for that. So if Denon pops these out soon without the screens, I guarantee some people are going to be like, thank you. Pop my saw, run Serato, run Virtual, whatever you run with that, the mixer, whatever S9 mixer you have. Now you got a smaller thing you can work with. It's not giant, weighs a little less, but expensive. Again, like John said, a lot of these products are for a specific audience.
Yeah. And
I don't see myself ever owning these. Probably use them next year at the expo, but I don't think I'll ever own them.
Yeah.
Even if they gave them to me, I would be limited to places I would want to take them out to, with all the knuckleheads that stand around and can drop stuff on them.
Yeah, and that's a lot of
money. It would
money.
have to be a booth where I knew nobody would be like, you know what I mean? The drunk chick wouldn't be coming up and hanging over the top of it with her drink. That's all I got on that. Those three. 6000, 6000M, and the X1850 mixer. All prime.
Dan, do you have anything, or where are you at?
So the only other one I got that really kind of caught my eye in a positive light, the Evolve 30M. We talked a little bit about that. The negatives to it, people keep talking about the Evolves and like, we wanted something bigger, and here they came back with something smaller. So, and again, we said that, the theme of the night is just, that niche market. And the things that I like, it has the full mixer on the back, controllable from a distance. The one thing I did not, and I meant to open up my app and kind of check, I did the update just to kind of see, does it have a more kind of thing I didn't like about the Sage Pass? Does it have a more controlled EQ, or is it something real basic? The one thing I do kind of like is the carrying case is a little bit, it's smaller. Obviously, some things are smaller on it, but they've taken that middle pole, and instead of having it be the real long one that you have with the Evolve 50, it's broken up into those two spots, and that goes into like almost like a backpack carrying type of case. And so you pop that on your back, you carry this out, and you're rolling, or you're walking right into it. So, I'm a fan of the Evolve 50s. It was kind of funny. There was some talk of the Evolve 50M. So basically the 50, but with the M, that talk kind of went away. So whether somebody found something or somebody made something, it got some talk. So who knows what's coming down the line.
It was on the app.
It was on the app.
It was on the app, and it's no longer on the app.
So,
or at least that's what the word was. Somebody had showed a screenshot. My app does not have the 50 M. It just has the 50 and the 30M on it.
So,
yeah, I think that it's. I'm going to put that in almost the same category as the Prime Go, is that it's a cool piece and such, but it's a wedding ceremony really, or a small musician would use it more than a DJ, mobile DJ would. I would use it for a ceremony. I would use it for like fill sound for around the room or in a second area of the room. But for me, it's not worth $1,200 when I can go and for $1,300 buy an Evolve 50. So it just doesn't price point. It just, I don't know how much sense it makes for me as a mobile DJ to spend this one a little bit more. I could get another one of those type of thing. But for a musician who needs that DSP control with the app, it's the cat's meow. Small.
But the one thing I do like is like with that built-in mixer on the back, if you have your case designed right for a small application, you're plugging them in, and then you've got your control, and it's a wireless control, where if you're wanting to access that kind of a thing, you're looking at a digital mixer, which is going to add X amount of dollars to it. So if you are building something new or creating something new, to have that potentially in an all-in-one, whether it's the stage pass, whether it's whatever else might be out there coming down the line, I like some of the direction that I'm seeing with some of these products. Suddenly we're seeing two. Is this going to be the year that we suddenly see a bunch more with their mixers built in?
Quality.
We've seen two. Yeah, quality. Exactly. We're seeing two like this. What are we going to see what are we going to come see Expo? Is there going to be four more suddenly that pops up, all with this new capability? So I think is what has me kind of also excited about this. Is two of them came out, both of them kind of broke the ground at the same time. Let's see where it goes from here. So.
Cool.
That was it.
MJ, if you can jump to the next one. This is actually
JBL.
What's that?
The JBL?
Yeah, the JBL. This is actually something that was released this fall. The reason why I wanted to include it is that this is the first generation that are actually fixed. The very first ones, when you go read the reviews, most of the reviews that are negative on the JBL Eon 1 Compact are the first generation. There were issues with the first gen. They've come out, they've got the second generation out, and people who bought the first generation, many of them are getting them swapped out, replaced because of issues. It was kind of a headache. But the next generation seems to be working better. It's very similar to the Bose. It's battery powered. It's got a 6-hour play on runtime on max, 12-hour play as background music. The coolest part of this, in my opinion, is that you can wirelessly connect to the first one with your device. You can run microphones into the first one to your device. Then you can send that combined signal to 3 more. So you could have 4 of these and basically take them and go boink, 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 boink around a ceremony site, connect there, run the wireless microphone to, hand, and you're good to go. Everything's there. The sound is around the whole area, and you could have a quick and easy setup with that. That ability to stream to the other 3 speakers for a 4-speaker sound system is pretty cool. I got to admit that. So the initial ones, there were many problems with them. One of the big problems was when it got down below 40 degrees, they would shut off. Sometimes they wouldn't charge. Sometimes there were just some issues with that first generation, which they now they have fixed that. So not that it was brand new at NAMM, but the new generation was shown at NAMM of the Eon 1 Compact.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that getting them probably in May would be my suggestion, unless the person needed it, and because the crew at many of the dealers sold a lot of them right away, especially I believe they were selling them at Expos, were the first time that they were offering them. So there was a lot of them that went out the door, and almost all of them had to come back and they were all recalled. So by May, they should be all worked out of the system, and then the new ones should be much better. So, MJ, got any more things?
Yes. So there's this company called Denon. I don't know if you ever heard of them or not.
No, I haven't. Are they new?
They came out with, we all know the Prime 4. This is the Prime 2. I did know the Prime 2 was coming quite a while ago. And pretty much everybody who actually has a brain, who thinks about DJ equipment, probably also knew, without even having someone tell them that it was coming, that the Prime 2 was coming. It's here. Well, it'll be here soon. It is basically the Prime 4, slightly smaller, with a slightly smaller screen. Instead of the 10-inch, it has a 7-inch. Yeah. Still has all your buttons, all your everything, is fully standalone. All that kind of stuff. Can do your lighting through your sound switch or your Resolume. everything that you would think that it would be when it comes to a standalone, but 2 channels as opposed to 4. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It is running, what was it, 12, 17, 16? I forgot the price on it already.
You want to look that up. This obviously there's some similarities between the Prime Go and the Prime 2, and then of course we have the Prime 4. The Prime 2 of the whole series of Prime controllers, standalone controllers, I think the Prime 2 is the most intriguing one, from my opinion. It's got your dual mic input. It has a quick EQ on the mic, so you can actually adjust bass, mid, and treble on the fly with the turn of the knob. So if you're getting feedback at somebody, you can adjust it. It has the ability to add the hard drive, so you can have your full music library. The Prime Go, you could only use the big SD card and a thumb drive. I think that the Prime 2 has a lot of features and capability that DJ. As soon as it would be virtual DJ compatible, that would be an awesome controller right there. I think if it could control virtual DJ, that would be a huge win, I think.
Here's the 2 things. When I had the Prime 4, I did a firmware update on it, and I showed John a picture of this. And it doesn't update firmware on the device. It updated firmware left deck, update firmware right deck, update firmware mixer. So its internals of the Prime 4, in my mind, looking at that, is that they took the hardware from the SCs and made that. So it updated as 3 separate units.
Interesting.
I don't know if the Prime 2 is that way. If the Prime 2 is a single unit, they kind of redid it a little bit, then you would have a very good chance that MIDI mapping can be done really quick, because when they have the single ones, that becomes what's called a generic MIDI mapping, and it's quite easy to be done. But it could end up like the Serato one, where it only takes, they had to send it to Serato. Serato took some time, did it back. And same with virtual. This could all be in hands very soon, because it could be very similar to the Prime 4, just less channels. So it could be almost identical. But here's the thing that narrows it down to just so many people, John. $1,400.
See that? Yeah, that's unfortunate.
If you finance that through Guitar Center, you could have $59 a month payments for 2 years.
Goodness, MJ,
if you can get it to last that long.
I was going to say you're usually swapping controllers out after a couple of years.
2 years, that's it. Yeah, which I'm ready to. So Denon has to make something new soon.
It's got to be.
But I like my 7000. I beat it to death. It works. Yeah. So that's the other one by them. Anybody have anything else? Because I have one more.
Yep, go ahead. We got to make sure we mention it. I just put that in the chat room, so I'd make sure to mention it.
Which one?
Okay.
So the other thing that came out, and again, all this stuff that came out before NAMM, was Rane put out a new mixer called the 70, and they weren't going to do the 60. It's basically like in my mind, it's a 62 with paddles. The paddles are these things, effects things right there, and there's the guys who use the turntables and use the Ranes. Once their effects units here, as my friend Mark says, he goes, "This is where all the magic happens." When he talks about that, he goes, "This is where the magic happens." So what they did was put out one that was a little bit not quite as fancy as the 72, but in my opinion, it is as fancy because they updated some things from the 72 to this 70, but they also took away the giant touchscreen and all the stuff that goes along with it. But a lot of guys didn't like the 72's touchscreen because to get to the effects, you had to go in several levels on that touchscreen to change something. Where now it's a button, or maybe you just don't have that 20 levels of adjustment. You have 1 or 2 on a button or on a knob. So guys are liking this too. It's a little bit cheaper. I forget what the price point on it was. I think it was around 16, if I'm correct. I'll look it up here once we switched over. But it's basically, it's a smaller mixer for guys who like to have setups like that. It does everything that, it has a loop section on it. 2 things that it didn't have on the 72 is a loop section, and it has a dedicated instant doubles button, if I'm correct on this one. Am I correct on that?
I thought I saw that instant doubles.
Yeah, right there. Yep. Yeah. So it has dedicated instant double buttons, which the other one did not, if I'm correct, 72. So for those of you who know the 72, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Please don't yell at me. But for those guys who use that, having that as opposed to doing, Control Shift on your keyboard to do an instant double, A lot of stuff like that. But that came out a little bit prior to it. I know a lot of guys are excited about getting this. For those who use that kind of thing, I think, like I said, if I'm correct, it is slightly cheaper than the 72. I'm typing it in here. All right, the 72 is oops, that's not searching right there. All right, 72 is $1,900, and the 70 is $1,500. So, again, guys put a lot of money into this kind of stuff because you got to figure if you're buying one of those, if you buy the big one, the 72, that's $1,900 and another 8 or 9, depending on what you're getting per side. So guys are putting that much into that as they would be putting into into a SC 6000 or 6000M.
Yeah.
So people do run them. So when I say it's a small niche audience, I'm not saying nobody runs it because a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. But it's not your majority of the guy who buys the $500 controller.
No, that's for sure.
And the last one, John, I want to click on it. There's 2 there, right?
Which one?
Give me 2 links.
Oh no, that's just so we remember to mention the tickets.
Yeah.
So when
Dan
does
a link, but
when Dan does the wrap here, that way he can mention it.
Okay. Sorry. Anything else you want me to bring up here?
I think that's about it. We are an hour in. Let's wrap it. Let's have Dan wrap us up, and we'll be on to our next thing.
Yeah. Of course, we touched on a bunch of different topics or a bunch of different products tonight. There was tons of other ones. And of course, John shared.
We didn't even touch software stuff.
We didn't touch software stuff. There was a couple other one other one I threw in the chat that don't worry about it. But with that being said, make sure you're checking out Disc Jockey News. What was the link that you had where you had your videos?
DiscJockeyNews.com/news, and that goes to all the NAMM, and that's where we put our press releases and such. Whenever there's something new that MJ and I find, that's where we've been putting it on the website. So DiscJockeyNews.com/news or DJNTV.com/news, and it'll pop you to the same spot.
There we go. So you can check out those and see some of the other products that you may have forgotten about or that we didn't touch on that you're like, wait a minute, I thought I heard about this. So find out some more and check it out for yourself. With that note, though, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the big thing that is, of course, coming up next month. And we are talking about the DJNTV. It is the show that you need to be at, co-located there with the Photo Booth Expo in Las Vegas. Right now, go to djntv.com/show and use the promo code DJNTV Show 2020 to be able to get hooked up on some tickets, some great prices. It is going to be a killer lineup. I'm telling you, when you see the speakers that are there, my jaw drops. And I just hate the fact that it's in February and I can't make it, but you can. And so again, djntv.com/tickets, the promo code DJNTV Show 2020. So that is the note. And Jimmy's driving from Vegas to North Carolina. So somewhere along the way, he'll pick you up and give you a ride. If you ask me.
And pay for gas.
Yes, of course. But thank you very much for taking time out of your Monday evening to join us. It's been a pleasure being a part of your night. Have yourself a good one, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.